You deserve to live a life that you actually love. But we do have to undo all the caging and the programming and the limitations that we set upon ourselves that say we can't and we shouldn't. Think about the world that we would live in if every mother in the world got to take a week like this to herself and got to unplug and got to plug in to herself and nature and sisterhood and community and all these things. What would our world look like? Hey, I'm Brooke Jean, therapist, recovering perfectionist, and struggling working mom on a mission to normalize normal. If you're an overwhelmed, high-achieving, and secretly anxious mama, struggling to balance it all and on the brink of burnout, you are in the right place. Here is where we talk about hard things like balancing work and family life, mental health, and how to navigate life-altering transitions. Nothing is too taboo here. In my conversations, I'll teach you how to let go of who you think you're supposed to be in order to create the life you've always wanted. Get ready to embrace your messy, shed the shoulds, and find freedom through a life unperfected. This is the Unperfected Pod. Welcome back to the Unperfected Pod, where we normalize normal and find freedom in a life unperfected. What is up, everybody? Brooke Jean, your host here, with just literally getting back from Ireland, the most extraordinary week-long solo adventure. Well, I went by myself, but I met up with women there for a women's retreat, and we are going to get into that. But I am definitely, I just got in last night, so I'm definitely feeling like, I don't know, like I'm on something. I'm a little floaty. I'm flying a little high. My body is buzzing, and yet I think it's just the time change and jet lag and all the things. But anyways, okay, before we get into today's conversation, which is me diving deep and sharing with you my experience in Northern Ireland and Dublin, I wanted to let you know that I am running the free masterclass Perfectionism Detox again. And so I'm going to be running that free masterclass on October 4th at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. If you attended the last masterclass, you know that it was off the chain. This one is going to be that and so much more. It's not going to be the exact same. I can never repeat the exact same live coaching twice, because since that first masterclass, I have attended 457 different trainings and live coachings myself. I've traveled internationally. I've grown as a person. I've done more energy healing work. So everything that I experience and I connect to, I bring through into my work. So no two things are ever going to be the same. So if you came to the last one, don't be afraid to come again. Some of the material that I repeat, I will teach it differently. And we actually have to hear something like 7 or 8 times for it to land. But then there will also be the newest edition of things. If you didn't get a chance to come to the first masterclass, what are you doing? Sign up today. Get your ass in there. We had 30 something high achieving women in there. It was so much fun. So that is just an hour and a half live coaching experience with me, where I am going to teach you some things. We are going to dance. We are going to breathe. We are going to challenge our belief systems. We are going to identify or work on our identity. We are going to look at what's holding us back. And it's all prepping for the launch of Unstuck and Unstoppable 2.0. And this version of Unstuck and Unstoppable is not only going to be the pre-recorded online virtual program, but it is also an immersion with me where you get 12 live coaching sessions in a group with me. And there's 2 to 3 a week. And so what I'm learning about people is, if I am not there to hold you accountable, if you are not in a group with other like-minded women who are with you healing, becoming, and rising and holding space, we're less likely to actually complete the program and absorb all the juicy benefits that are intended for you. Plus, I just love a group and I love live coaching. So come to the free masterclass, Perfectionism Detox, links everywhere, and be planting that seed and thinking about, if you want to join Unstuck and Unstoppable this round, with the group program, with the live coaching element with me, with a group of women doing the deep dive in the work. Those links are also in the show notes, in my bio and Instagram, in my website. Everywhere you go, you can learn more about it. Anywho, let's talk about what the hell just happened with your girl in the last 8 days. So first I want to say that the unperfected process is really a process of undoing and unlearning everything that you learned about what it meant to be a good woman, a good person, a good wife, a good mother, a good leader, a good boss, a good anything, so that you can reconnect with who you really are and bring that forward and develop your identity, create beliefs, take action, up-level your leadership, up-level your entrepreneurship in alignment with the truest version of who you are. And so I had this belief that I couldn't vacation by myself, or that I shouldn't take time off away from my kids or my husband, or even that I shouldn't, the first time I take an international trip, go without my family. And so I want to let you know that in the Unperfected Method, we ditch the beliefs that are holding us back from living a life we actually love. And as I've grown, I've realized I want to explore. I want to travel. I want to adventure. I want to try different healing modalities. I want to dive deep in the forest and in the ocean and all these things. And I don't need to wait until my partner wants to come. My kids are a little bit older. I make a certain amount of money. I have a certain amount of clients. I'm not waiting for anything in my life anymore. I'm starting to live my life in alignment with what I truly desire, which is going to make me a better person in all the things that I do. And so I had to overcome this belief of I can't or shouldn't go on trips like this. And I started dabbling, honey, with this when I turned 40, and I went on a solo spiritual adventure in Sedona at Miamo for my 40th birthday, and was just totally moved by that experience and fell in love with going places by myself and just diving deep into the process and into the culture there and into the program that was offered and into all of it. And so this was like a 2.0, but much more deep version of that. So I was invited to this women's wellness retreat called Heaven on Earth in Northern Ireland in the Tollymore forest. I don't know if any of you know what the Tollymore, it's Tollymore, right? God, my brain is just so, let me look at, I want to make sure that that's right, because if I'm saying, yeah, Tollymore Forest. The Tollymore Forest in Newcastle, Northern Ireland, is where Game of Thrones was filmed, Narnia was filmed. It is so extraordinary, so old, so majestic. It's an enchanting forest. And we stayed in this gorgeous forest house right across the street. So we would walk across the street into this brick and stone welcoming bridge overhang into this mountain view with this dense green gorgeous forest with all of these old rocks and stones, and just it was next level. The second you would walk into this forest, you felt the energy. That was similar to what I felt in Sedona. I remember when I first got to Sedona and my nips immediately got hard, I was like, oh, this is a vortex. There's something here energetically. It was the same thing. I walked into this forest and I felt fully alive. Every cell in my body was buzzing. And I was just like, oh, wow. The energy here is freaking potent. It's old. It's magic. It's powerful. And so so I go on this retreat, right? Who hosted this gorgeous retreat? These two extraordinary women, Caroline and Annetta, who are in the mastermind that I'm in called Life Mastermind with Sam Skelly. Okay. They co-hosted this women's retreat that they called Heaven on Earth in Northern Ireland. And they personally recruited me and invited me to come. And if you know these two women, you know anything they do is going to be bomb.com, because they're breathwork facilitators, they're equestrian psychologists, they're yoga teachers, they're coaches, There's just so much. And Caroline actually lives there. So it was one of her houses that we stayed in when we did the equine therapy. It was with her horses on her horse compound. Like the boat trip we went on, her boat, like the cold plunge we did, it's the cold plunge she does. I just knew that we were going to be in such good hands because, first of all, everything they do is just nice and luxurious and lovely and very intentional and well thought through. But I also liked the idea, considering this was my first international trip. I like the idea of being welcomed by a local and being taken care of by somebody who knows the land, who respects the land, who knows the culture, who knows the people, who knows where to go and what to do. I liked having that sort of like container and the guidance of that. And so when they invited me into this retreat, it was like a full body yes. It was a full body, absolutely. And then when I talked to my husband about it, it just so happened that he had taken the exact week off of work. And he was like, babe, you have to go. It's meant to be. And just having his blessing, just which he always supports the things that I want to do. But like, I knew he really genuinely was like, he was like, honey, this is a once in a lifetime. We are not going to live with regrets. Like, I know you wanted your first trip to Europe to be with me or with Camden or whatever. Freaking go. I'm off work. I've got us. I've got Chloe. Let's do this. And so it was just kismet and it was meant to be. I also have to say, this happened last year too. The week that I was leaving for the retreat was, what's it called when the kids have to dress up as a theme? Spirit freaking week. It was Spirit Week, which ended on the Friday with the biggest like school fundraiser, which is a fun run. And my husband was going to solo parent and do the each day for Spirit Week and taking her to the run and doing the whole thing. And so I just kind of snickered. I was like, oh my God, of course the week that I'm going to leave is fucking Spirit Week. And you got this, babe. You got this. And he totally nailed it, by the way. But I love when things like that happen. When your girl can get out of a good Spirit Week, yes, please. Give me more. Anyways, so I made the decision I'm going on this freaking retreat. And I'm going to go and explore Ireland. I do have some Irish roots on my mom's side. And I cannot wait to just see the land and be on the island and go deep with women and be in nature. But then I also decided that I wanted to spend the last 2 nights in Dublin to get a little bit different experience. So the journey started, okay, with a red-eye flight, which I'm lucky. Actually, there's a direct flight from Denver to Dublin, but it is 8 hours and 45 minutes. I did not upgrade. I was in just a regular seat and I did not sleep well. I couldn't really eat because I was just like wired. I got lucky though. I had a really cool, like the plane had the 2 seats, the 4 in the middle and the 2 seats. And I was in a window seat of the 2 seats. So you never know which, what person you're going to get sat next to. And honey, that can make or break your experience. And so, of course, I was just like manifesting getting a really great partner. And I have to say, I got the best traveling mate on the way there and back. This cute, precious little old Irish man who was like 4'6" and 87 pounds. He's from Ireland, but now he lives in Steamboat, and he was flying home for a funeral, and he was precious and he was hilarious. And like we immediately developed a bond such that an hour in, I could just say, dude, I don't want to talk anymore. Leave me alone. I'm going to put my eye mask on and don't take it personally. And he just thought I was the biggest hoot. And I thought he was the biggest hoot. And like I was the beast of the 2 of us. And so yes, 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 yes. But I didn't sleep. I didn't really eat. I was all wired up, and we make it. We get there. We have a driver picking us up who is like one of Caroline's friends. And as I'm walking up, you see all these drivers with names that are like typed on a freaking, what's it called when you run the thing through the machine and it like glosses it over. I can't think of what it is. Listen, 2 brain cells working right now. Laminated. That's what it is. Laminated. I see this freaking lad sat in the middle of all these people in suits with their laminated typed signs. This little lad with a piece of paper and a handwritten in bubble letters with pen, Brooke, no E, BROOK, big bubble letters with scribbled with pen on a piece of paper. And I just knew, honey, that's my guy. That's my man. That's my guy. And he was just like beaming good energy. I knew it was mine. And I said, Brooke Jean, because I was told that there was going to be a sign that said Jean, comma, Brooke. So I didn't I knew energetically that was my guy, but I also needed to double check, right? So I'm like, Brooke Jean? And he's like, yeah. So I find our driver. We start collecting the women of the retreat. So the two women that co-hosted, I'm in the mastermind with. Two other women who joined the retreat also are in the mastermind, right? So there was several of us that already know each other. And then there were some brave, beautiful women that had the courage to come, and they didn't really know anybody. Maybe they knew Caroline from a breathwork session, and one woman knew Annetta from working together before she left her corporate job. And so shout out to Cammie and Olivia, these gorgeous women that had the kahunas to come and travel by themselves. So we all get together and we're going to be vanned up from Dublin to Newcastle, the forest. And it's going to be an hour and a half drive. And everybody did warn me that the last 20 minutes is really windy roads. And let's just name it, people drive like assholes there. I don't understand why the country is so chill, but we drive like maniacs. Everything is like accelerate, stop, accelerate, stop. I'm like, where are you rushing to? The sheep that you're attending to, my love? I was so perplexed by everyone is so chill. Y'all hang out in the pubs all day, every day, but we're in a rush on the roads. Anyways, I made the bad decision, you guys, to sit in the van facing backwards. So instead of facing forward, I was facing people in the van. And so here's how the trip started. We're all getting to know each other. We're all excited. We're just like, oh my God, we're in Ireland. We're away from our kids and our husbands and our families, and we're about to embark on this journey. And right before we get there, all of a sudden the nausea hits me and I'm like, oh shit. And everybody was worried about this one sweetie who was like, I get sick, so I need to face forward. I was like, I don't think I've ever gotten car sick, truly. So I wasn't concerned. But out of the nowhere, I think it was the nerves. I think it was all the caffeine, the no eating, the no sleeping. And then, of course, the windy roads facing backwards in the freaking choppiest drive you've ever done. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm going to get sick. And I'm like, you guys, I don't feel good. And I'm sure I started turning white. And they're like, oh, come sit over here so you're facing forward. And I'm like, hey, dudes, roll the windows down. The guy would the driver couldn't understand what I was trying to say. You guys, when I say I freaking threw up on that car ride in that van in front of everybody, I did. And I was like, I didn't know what I was going to throw up in. So someone gave me their coffee cup. Throwing up in the coffee cup, it fills up. I'm like, give me something else, as I can just feel the energy of the trauma of the poor souls that are having to witness me barfing my brains out in these coffee cups. So I'm throwing up. I'm mortified, but I'm also seriously sick. The girls, they take such beautiful care of me, but I am just feeling like the yuckiest of all yucky human beings, if you could even fucking possibly imagine. So he pulls over, I run out, and I just throw up, and I'm just heaving on the side of the road. A mess. My girl Amy, she's a walking pharmacy. She has wipes. She has everything that I'm going to need to get my shit together. She has wipes. She has an anti-acid, all of it. I was shocked that I got sick. And then I had to get back in the van, apologize to everybody, and be like, hey, let's go do our 5-day retreat. Aren't you so glad you're trapped with me in the Tollymore forest? Let's go. Oh my God. Okay. So that's how it started. So then we get there and everyone's they welcome us. It's beautiful. We have a lovely dinner. We had a private chef that only made the healthiest, most luxurious food over dinner. We're setting an intention. I didn't really have an intention other than I like taking this time for myself so I can heal, become, and rise. I like treating myself. I always open my channels and connect to the universe, God, Mother Nature, whatever you want to call it. I always get clarity on who I am and what my purpose is. I always get ideas. I make connections, soul sisters. Like I'm just here open. And so we go through all that. And then at the end of night one, same day that we fly in, same day that your girls got sick in front of everyone, we do like a guided meditation, visualization to lock in whatever. And when I tell you that I'm in the meditation and I'm like, I'm getting very sleepy, I'm getting very sleepy, all of a sudden they wake me up. It's the end. And I go, did I snore? And they all start dying laughing. And they're like, yes. And now I'm sat on a yoga mat surrounded by the same women that I threw up around. And now they're all laughing, not at me, but with me that I snored. So day one hasn't even come to a freaking close. And I've thrown up and snored in front of these women. What is actually happening to me? So I get back to the room and I'm just like, okay, they probably are like, what is wrong with the Brooke Jean character? So I text my husband or I WhatsApp my husband, what happened? I'm like, honey, it's only day one and I've already puked and snored and dude. And all he responds with is hashtag unperfected. And in that moment, I was like, yes, honey. Yes. Like, it's okay. Like, we made it here and I got sick. I don't know what to tell you. Unperfected. And I snore. I don't know what to tell you. Unperfected. I'm a real person. Like, I guess better me than you because at least now I can release the shame and laugh at the damn thing where maybe someone else would have been mortified the entire time. I don't know. That was day one, y'all. But I have to tell you, it got better and better and better and better. Every day we walked into that forest. The next day we had morning yoga on top of this grassy knoll, this big grassy hill, where our 360 view was literally the Irish Sea, the mountains, and the forest. And Anetta guided us through this gorgeous and gentle yoga session with the most beautiful music that brought tears to my eyes. And on day two, I felt so spiritually alive and connected to something big there. Like, whoo, I can feel it right now as I'm sharing this story. The light was just coming through me. I was so like, just everything felt nourishing. The sun on my face, the breath I was taking, the songs, I was, oh, so alive. P.S., we brought the sun with us. We had 4 days of sunshine in Northern Ireland, and they hadn't had 4 consecutive days of sunshine since March or May. They had no summer. They had no summer. We brought 4 days of sunshine. So while it's a little bit brisk because it's the morning dew in the forest, we had sun that would come on you right in the perfect moment while you're in this gorgeous yoga pose. I mean, it was like, that's how I would start my freaking day. And then we would go back to the forest house and do breath work with Caroline. And we did a cold plunge in the freaking Irish Sea. And the the seal that everyone knows, who's named Charlie, came and swam with us. And this woman who takes pictures for the local paper took our picture and we made it into the local paper. And I have to say, am I surprised that I made the local paper on day 2 of my visit? I'm actually not. I'm not. I'm not surprised that there was a public announcement that we've arrived. We're already making a scene. We're out here in bikinis in the Irish Sea. It's freezing ass cold. And I'm just like living for every moment. And it just kept getting better and better and better and better. It became clear to me that my intention was going to be about love, which I didn't see because a lot of times my intentions are around purpose and healing and energetic alignment and things like that. I've never had my intention be about love. But one of the things that I've been working on this year in 2024 is opening my heart. So I would be guided through these heart-led meditations and these heart-opening visualizations, and I felt like I couldn't truly connect to my heart space. I felt like there was a block there. And so I shared this with one of my sisters in the Life Mastermind, who's an energy healer. Like, I feel there's like leather around my heart. And she was like, there is leather around your heart. I can feel it. And so I started doing work with her. And so my heart has been opening piece by piece. And we've been uncovering beliefs that I have that have put this protective leather around my heart. And this magical human being, Rose Magic, was also on this retreat with me in Ireland. And so it was really cool because as I was realizing, oh my God, I'm going to open my heart more and I'm going to learn to receive more and I'm going to open my heart to give more and I'm going to like expand its field energetically and I'm going to work on this heart coherence and I'm going to figure out and release all of the stories and the shame and the guilt and the judgments that I have around myself and everyone else who has ever hurt me or harmed me from a closed-hearted place. I was going to forgive myself of everything I've ever said and done to people I love when I was in a closed-hearted state. Oof, this was deep for me. We did this hermitage where we walked through the forest and it was like there was a trail made of stone that led us to this hut where we did this breath work of like, what are we ready to release? And that's where it came through of like, I'm ready to forgive myself of the things I've done and said when I was hurt. I'm ready to forgive everyone else who has hurt me because they came from a wounded place, from childhood and even past generations. And, you know, my son's father and all these things. I'm like, I'm ready to release it. I forgive them. Everyone is fucking doing the best they fucking can until they know better and then we do better. And as we got clear on our intention of what we wanted to release so that we could step into the fullest expression of who we are, there was these stones that were like a bridge across a river and we would walk across and one by one we would just release. And then one of our sisters would give us a leaf and then we would throw it. We would go back out onto the stones and release it into the river. And this experience, like I immediately felt a real exhale, release, like energy getting off of me, all this heaviness of this guilt and the shame of the things that I've done when I was heartbroken and the way that I responded to rejection and fear and the things that people did to me and the way that I responded to that. I just let the shit fucking go right there in that forest, in that hermitage ceremony with these women holding me, guiding me, loving me through it, just crying and letting it go and watching those leaves float away down the river. I was like, good riddance. I don't need to hold this anymore. I don't need to hold this. And what's so beautiful about a releasing ceremony like that is when we release the emotions that have been stuck in our body, the beliefs that we have about our not enoughness or our unworthiness, the stories that we told ourselves to keep us safe, the ways that we've blocked ourselves from feeling love and from seeing our real potential. When we start to get rid of some of that, what I call decluttering the gutter, when we shed some of that, we make space for the who we already are, the who we're becoming, and all the love and support and energy that we need to arrive at where we're going. And so it was like this heavy release that was then immediately you're kind of feeling all this gorgeous energy coming in of the women around you supporting you and the density of the forest holding you, pouring her wisdom into you. And then the sun would shine on your face and you're just like, is that fucking God? Like, oh my God. Again, turned all the way on. My word for 2024 was aliveness. There was so much aliveness woven into this experience. And there was so much heart opening and heart expansion happening step by step, piece by piece. And so after we had done like some really deep work, we also got to do the equine work. So Caroline's daughter rides horses. Caroline used to ride horses when she was young. They have 5 horses. They have the most extraordinary horse. I don't even know like what you call it. I was calling it the happy compound because it's just the barns and the stables and the place that she practices and fields, and their house is there, and one of their guest houses was there. I mean, it was just extraordinary. We got to do work with the horses, and oh my God, I fell in love with Annie's horse, Dasha, who was mirroring for me my emotions, who was mirroring for me things in myself that I didn't want to admit or say out loud. Like, I want attention and I want to feel special. And Dasha, when I tell you that we had like 3 sessions with the horse, and the first one was really getting acquainted and working through your fears and anxieties of being with the big animal, of it revealing to you parts of yourself that you're ready to release. The group kind of witnessing that, whatever fears, insecurities, and just the unsettling feelings that you had. That first session with the horse was just to kind of get acquainted and build that trust, and like get out of your own head and get into your heart and get into your nervous system. And so the second session with the same horse, you got to go deeper. And in that second session was where I realized I like attention. I want to be loved. I want to be special. And that doesn't mean I'm a bad person. That doesn't equal all of these negative associations that I've assigned it to, like to be someone who wants to be loved or special is to be someone who's like, look at me, look at me, look at me, and bad. No, like it's a human desire. It's a core desire to want to be seen, to want to be special, to want to be unconditionally loved. And Dasha mirrored that for me. And Dasha, the horse, was like, listen, bitch, I love a good attention too. I love to be celebrated. I love to be looked at. Dasha was like, look, I'm a competition horse, and nothing lights me up more than when people are cheering me on and clapping as I'm jumping with Annie, because we saw that earlier when we got to see Annie riding the horse. When we would cheer them on, Dasha ate that shit up. And I was like, oh my God, are you me and am I you? I will eat that shit up. And then, anyways, as I'm like meeting these parts of myself that I've had shame around, and Dasha is like looking me deep in the horse eyes to human eyes, soul to soul, and saying, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, we are cute. We do get to be special. We do get to be loved. Hey. Then Dasha wrapped his long, strong neck around me like a full body hug and just held me there. And the tears start coming, right? And so then we had a third session with a new horse, but it was out in the field, not in the stables with anybody. It was just us and the horse. And we got to use what we had just learned to attune to the horse and to energetically be with the horse and to build trust without speaking, and to like do things with the horse and get its feedback of what it likes and what it doesn't like, and regulate our nervous systems and co-regulate. It was, y'all, listen, equine therapy is the jam. Horses are extraordinary animals. I had a whole experience out there with the horses. I'm starting to look into getting Chloe into horses because she's got some anxiety, and she's been asking me about horses for 3 years now. So my husband and I were just talking this morning, like, we're going to get Chloe involved with horses. So there was equine therapy. Right. So the first couple days, we went deep into the healing work and into the releasing and the shedding and like, what do we need? And then we got to like grow into the becoming. And that's when it started getting really fun. And we went on a boat, and we got to take a boat trip out in the Irish Sea. And we saw like live seals in the wild, and they loved us, and they were like coming up to the boat, and they were cute and they were curious. And we got to get massages, and we got to get our makeup done before we went out to dinner into a local pub the last night. And we felt beautiful, and we took pictures, and we got to celebrate. And then, oh my God. So on the last night in Northern Ireland, we had the makeup, we had the massage. Wait, no, the massages was the night before, but we had the makeup, and then we had the nice dinner, and then we had the pub. And there was live music in the pub, and the artist sang My Wedding Song by Damien Rice, A Blower's Daughter. And when I tell you that I was sat on this itty bitty wooden, what you looks like you would see in some freaking like fairy tale kids storybook, right? This little tripod wooden stool. I'm sitting on it like in front row facing him as he's just playing the guitar and belting out one of my favorite fucking songs. It was like my husband was with me. I had the full body goosebumps, and it was a moment. And then I turn around and I see this woman beaming with pride. And I know without her saying a word, it's his mother. And I turn around and I said, "You're his mom, aren't you?" And she was beautiful and she was so happy. And she said, "Yes, and that's my son and he's 21." I said, "I have a 21-year-old son who's also an artist." So anyways, I made best friends with her and we had a beautiful evening that night. And the whole experience from start to finish was an alchemy of me. It was an unfolding of me, and it was a softening, and it was an undoing, and it had its waves where I would be sad and then angry and then happy and then elated and then blissful and then confused. And then, I rode those waves of emotion. And at the end, I was like, I am so fucking loved. Oh, this is deep. I'd realized through working with Rose, my energy healer, who can like read your subconscious core beliefs in the field. She does magic. If you want her number, reach out to me. She picked up on something that I never really told anybody before. And so I was really working on it in this retreat, which was somehow ever since I was little, I had this belief that God didn't, if there was a God, God didn't love me and he thought I was disgusting. I'm just going to pause right there. And if you can imagine the way that maybe I have thought about myself, believed about myself, felt in my life, the action I may have taken, the shitty boundaries I may have had, the problems I may have encountered, when you don't know that God loves you. And let me just tell you that this journey called Heaven on Earth, I didn't know it was like such a spiritual retreat. They didn't tell me it was called Heaven on Earth before we got there. There was like a heavy, heavy spiritual component, and I did not know that until I got there. When I tell you that I connected with God and I left there knowing I am unconditionally loved, beyond loved, beyond loved, I am worthy, and so are you, and so are you, and so are you. I could cry right now because, let me take a breath. That was profound. Connecting. I've always felt so connected spiritually, but I don't know what to call it. I'm not super religious, but I felt more connected to God. And I knew that God so loved me so deeply. And that helped me open my heart in a way that I can't even explain. So I started not really knowing what my intention was going to be. And then it became opening the heart and love. And then I reconnected with God and knew that he loved me. And then my heart just went, fucking A. I received the love and I share the overflow of love with myself, with my husband, with my children, with the world, with my clients. Like I get to be a fucking conduit for love, light, and laughter. I am here to be a conduit for love, light, and laughter. And to walk away with that, having had such a gorgeous 5 days in that forest and on the sea with this group of women, it was truly so expansive and so extraordinary. And then we traveled to Dublin, where I got to do a proper pub style lifestyle. I stayed in a beautiful hotel, the Westbury, right on the main drag in downtown Dublin. And I got to pub crawl with the women. I got to shop. I got to eat such yummy food. I stayed in a gorgeous room and I took the time in my room to really integrate and journal and take baths and be alone. And every night, that it was only 2 nights, but when we were pub, it was live music, people that were happy and singing and cheering and dancing and just love. And one of the things that I was obsessed with about Dublin is everybody comes to these pubs to talk and to be with each other. No one is on their phones. No one gives a shit about what's happening online. It's about family. It's about friendships. It's about togetherness. And I really absorbed that. I really witnessed that. I really saw that. And that was special. The food. Oh my God. I did have a proper Guinness. Not going to lie. I did have a proper Guinness. Anyways, it was just extraordinary, you guys. My biggest takeaways were just like family and love and connection and what matters most and nature and God and spirituality. And I missed my daughter and my son and my husband so much. And my husband held down the fort, and he asked me some really good questions, like, what did you release? When I told him we had a releasing ceremony, which was this like opening for us to have deeper conversations, to have more intimate conversations. He opened up with me that he kind of shared, he struggled with some of the emotionality with Chloe, and he's been opening up to me, and I've been leaning in and helping him, and we're just like connecting differently and more. And I can see that he's growing and expanding, which is all I've ever wanted. And he's meeting me, and he's curious about something beautiful happened while I was away in our relationship. And I came back and I just wrapped my arms around his neck and pulled him in and was just like, I'm so flippin' grateful for you. My husband, my partner of 20 years, we have been through shit together. We are still growing and evolving 20 years later. I feel more seen by you. I missed you so much. I'm so grateful for you. I respect you. I love you. I can't wait to tell you how deep this shit just went. I can't wait to hear about your week. And I was just obsessed with my daughter. And I came home and I was so grateful for my beautiful home and all the niceties and the flow of my life and my clients and my business and my team and the sun of Colorado. And I'm just, listen, your girl is moved. Your girl is grateful. And now I've created this contingency plan of how do I bring some of those elements that I got from my retreat into my day-to-day life? And how do I make sure that I stay in the frequency of, God, nature, the Mother Earth, love? How do I stay in those frequencies as much as I can? How do I be the woman I want to be, the mother I want to be, the wife I want to be? How do I continue to say yes to the things that are a full body yes and no to the things that are not? And how do I continue to live in this place of like, I'm not waiting for permission anymore. I don't need you can take the trip. I'm taking the trip. I don't need you shouldn't invest in your spiritual development, your emotional development, your personal development, your professional development. I'm investing. And so maybe this is your reminder, your nudge from God, universe, Mother Nature, that you get to invest in yourself, that you should take the trip, that you should go on the retreat, that you should join the coaching program, that you should take Friday mornings off and go to dance class, because you deserve to live a life that you actually love. But we do have to undo all the caging and the programming and the limitations that we set upon ourselves that say we can't and we shouldn't. Think about the world that we would live in if every mother in the world got to take a week like this to herself and got to unplug and got to plug in to herself and nature and sisterhood and community and all these things. What would our world look like? So more and more and more and more and more of us need to make this a norm, whether it's in a retreat in Ireland or a 1-minute retreat in between clients all day long, where you put your hand on your heart and you put your feet in the grass and you face the sun and you take a deep breath in and you remember to freaking be alive. That can be a retreat too. I love you so much. You are so worthy of that and beyond. Have a beautiful week. Make sure to come to my Perfectionism Detox Masterclass. Join the group coaching program. I will help you get unhooked. Will help you get unstuck so you can live a life that you actually love. And I will see you same time, same place next week. Bye for now. Hey mama, if you made it to the end of this episode, I just want to virtually high five you because you've said yes to the opportunity of taking better care of yourself. And that is so meaningful and so amazing. You have no idea the ripple of goodness that's to come. If you've been enjoying the show, if you've been finding it helpful, if you've laughed a little or learned a new technique, will you do me a favor? Will you make sure that you're following the show, that you've given us a 5-star rating and left a review? That will absolutely help us get this podcast into more heads and hearts of as many mamas as possible. Because when we heal the mother, we heal the world. Also, if there's a specific episode that you've loved, will you make sure to share it with a friend? Just send them the link or share it on social media and make sure you tag me at Brooke Jean Unperfected, because I absolutely love seeing that this is actually giving you the impact that you so desire and deserve. Thank you so much, mamas. Make sure you're taking care of yourselves and therefore each other.